Welcome to the New Economy. What's next? We're going to do something a little bit differently today. My grandmother recently passed away, and what I wanted to do was to honor her as the businesswoman that she was. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to share some of the stories that she shared with me, the stories about her life, as well as look back at some of the guests that were on the show. So stay tuned.
Now, I don't know you, I can't even see you, but here's what I know about you, that you have something special. You have greatness within you. I can say that to you based upon my own experience. If anybody told me just getting started, so I don't know what you do, you might be selling a product, a service, you might have some skill or knowledge that people need right now. I don't know what you do, but here's what I know. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great.
Nothing is free. Nothing is easy. You have to think different. You have to do different.
Do not try to draw a straight line. Find the rocket ship that matters to you. And you know what really matters here is if you try to plan out your career, anyone who thinks you know exactly what you're going to do for the next 30 years, here's what I promise for 40 years. It's going to be boring and you're going to miss all the good stuff because all the good stuff hasn't been invented yet.
So my grandmother was the chief financial officer of the Nassau Beach Hotel for many, many years. And what that position is she was in charge of finance and accounting departments. And so what she learned and she knew about the business as a hotelier was who is your target market. Now she was there during the time where the primary tourists in the Bahamas were European. And the European tourist is different in that they want to stay for longer periods of time and they like different amenities. She was also there during the shift when the target tourist changed to the American tourist and the subsequent resulting, she was part of that transition. So this next segment is about understanding who your target market is and moving to meet their needs.
Yeah, and just focus on them. You can't please everyone. You don't want to. It's just like some things just if you're marketing a product, a brand, it's like you're not going to want to target everyone anyway. So you need to be really focused in terms of knowing who you're trying to reach. Narrow that down as much. Don't just say, "Oh, I'm trying to reach women." What kind of women? Black women, white women, young women, old women. Black old women with income of what? 50K and more. Black women who have like expendable income, luxury black old women who are what? Housewives. Like the more you can target that, the more you can be strategic with your messages, whether it's on social media, commercials, anything. You just need to have, actually what you need to do, which a lot of companies don't do, is you need to have an avatar in mind of your client. So you need to literally write down something or type down something that says, my ideal client is, her name is Vanessa. She's 35, she's college educated, she probably has an income of this. These are her challenges. These are the things that keep her up at night. These are the things that keep her motivated. These are the things that that make her pissed. These are the things that make her happy, because again, there's a lot of psychology and honestly appealing to people's emotions.
Because then you can really meet that Vanessa's needs, because it's a real person. And what demographic science says is that there are a lot of Vanessas out there. If you don't make it too narrow, you shouldn't make it too narrow, but not too broad.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of that going on. Literally, in all my experience with doing marketing behind the scenes, like a lot of people know is, oh, I just want to sell. I want to go viral, and it's like you need to know your customer is, figure that out, figure out their needs, figure out what emotions you're going to use to get them to engage with this content, and then move from there. It's literally a science. It's not easy. If it's easy, everyone would do it. you know, so
Yeah,
it
I
takes
mean,
time.
not everybody's, most people's videos have like 10 views on them. So it is not easy. It
Yeah, it's
is.
not even.
My grandmother was a black female executive in a male dominated environment. And in order to do her job effectively, she had to manage men. And anyone knows Bahamian men are an interesting breed. But in order to effectively manage them, she leaned heavily on her ethics and on her character. And what she found was that all people really respected that. And so this next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the ethics of business, as well as the, how it translates into business. Ethics. Why are they important for business?
Yeah, well, I think as organizations go through their day to day, there's any number of ways that they can realize that they just can't really be sustainable without a good ethical mooring. And that starts at the top and runs all the way down throughout the organization. But many of people have written about this and have found different results over the years, but it seems like time and time again they find that in order to do well, you also need to do good.
Yes.
Which means that organizations like to deal with other organizations that treat them well, treat them ethically. And as individuals, we're the same. We typically don't want to be in relationships with people that we don't trust. We don't want to buy from vendors, manufacturers that we don't have faith in. And pretty much everyone is like that. So relationships, whether it's on an organizational level or on an individual level, typically don't last very long if they're not rooted in a sense of ethics and trust.
As one of the highest ranking Bahamians in an organization that was foreign owned, she had to effectively manage both upwards and downwards, meaning communicate between the owners and their strategic decisions and the staff and their day-to-day operational decisions. And so in order to do that, she had to develop good communication skills and a good communication framework. So in this next segment, we're going to look at some of the ideas and thoughts behind communicating, both managing up and managing down in an organization. What are some of the advantages of having this kind of mindset in terms of your relationship to your bosses as well as your employees or the people that work for you, people that you manage?
Well, I guess I go by example, right? So for the people who work for me, they see that I implement what I'm saying to do. So they also then can easily adapt to it or take on the project as well. As far as to my superiors, of course I have to, when I want to implement a change, I have to basically give to them my reasoning why the change is necessary, but also then show along the way how the change is being implemented and how it is benefiting the company. Yeah, you have to work both the communication upward as well as downward.
Why don't you talk about kind of the ethos that is required for you to be a high performing, high achieving employee?
Okay. Well, I'm a big believer in efficiencies and changing for the better, right? Not just change for change's sake. So I rely heavily on, like I said, the line staff experience. Your business has to evolve with what's going on in the world. So, for example, the pandemic is a prime example of how you evolve yourself to address the concerns of your customers. So everything feeds into it together. So yes, you might have an idea of how to improve your business or what the patient or customer is looking for at this moment. You also have to then see how it's going to affect the whole organization, because you can't necessarily make a change that's just for one specific area, because it's going to affect everything.
Yeah.
Right, so you have to keep the big picture at the same time, addressing the little concerns or the individual concerns that are going on. So it's a very dynamic process. You can't necessarily dictate that this is the only way. There's always the caveat in all of our communications right now that things can change depending on what say the emergency orders are or what's going on. So there's always that.
We'll be right back after a short message from our sponsor. At Arawak X, we understand that for businesses to grow, they need capital to hire staff, buy equipment, and fuel innovative ideas. We support this process by using technology, years of business acumen, and a world-class team to get business the investment they need to get to the next level. If you are a business owner and need between $100,000 and $3 million, contact us today. We will schedule a meeting over the phone or video chat. Get on the path to your dreams. Arawak X. Dream bigger.
All right. Hi, my name is Peter Bridgewater. I'm President and CEO of Open Systems Technologies International. We are an enterprise content management solution provider here in the Bahamas for the past 20 years, and we've worked with a number of government and private institutions to store and capture their information electronically. Well, digital transformation is key to the success of your business, or any business, and we have a trained team with over almost 40 years of experience in terms of implementing these solutions, and we have a good vendor relationship that would support any implementation here in the Bahamas. So the next steps in your business should be to implement a enterprise content management solution that will enable you to function like in this pandemic, also as a business continuity solution, so that you can work in the event of a disaster. And so you can feel free to call us for a free consultation. Our numbers are 242-328-6736, and you can also check us out on the web at www.opensystems-bs.com.
Think direct ownership of the Bahamian pie isn't for you? Think again. At Arawak X, we believe in the ingenuity of the Bahamian people. These times are uncertain and unprecedented, but we know that in every crisis there is an opportunity to add value to people's lives. To this, we understand that new businesses will be formed and old ideas whose time has finally come will be realized. We see this in industries long been ignored by traditional financial services and by society at large, particularly in our digital businesses, agribusiness, fishing, manufacturing, and even new touristic ventures. Due to our present circumstances, these businesses have finally been brought to the forefront. Arawak X seeks to give your ideas and your participation a means of making your financial dreams a reality. We give businesses and investors tools needed to finance them. Business is a complicated thing, with many moving and changing parts that often require multidisciplinary teams to turn ideas into reality. While no one can truly say which businesses will make it and thrive and which will not, There are certain formulaic traits that successful businesses have. This is why we here at Arawak place such a high emphasis on corporate governance and the structure it brings to give companies the best chance at growth and expansion. Arawak operates a regulated and financially inclusive platform that combines modern technology with best practices and a world-class team to bring together businesses and investors at every level, allowing wider participation in ownership of companies. So here's how it works. Investors, both foreign and local, individual and institutional, can view offerings and directly invest into these companies. We have spent several years and invested greatly in our staff and technology processes. We are doing this by greatly expanding the ease of investment. In other words, people will be able to participate in promising new ventures for as little as $50. The ethos of our institution is that of financial inclusion. And in this spirit, we ourselves will be a publicly traded company. In these next few months, as we roll out our platform, know that we view ourselves as an integral part of a wider societal change, the change that brings ownership, opportunity to everyone. We are pleased to work with our partners in industry, government, civil society, and the people in making the Bahamas the best little nation on this planet. As a first step, we have put together a free online course, the Intelligent Bahamian Investor Masterclass, that will give you some of the basics to investing. This can be found at invest242.com. Arawak Dream Bigger. The new economy, what's next? Now Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6:30 p.m. before the news. So for this last segment, I wanted to talk about what happened after she retired from the hotel. So she, as a business person that worked every day really hard for her company, when she retired, she went into running a family business, the Bahama Clear water plant. And she took that same idea of working, but instead of doing it for someone else, she did it for herself. And that's what the entrepreneurial spirit is all about. It's about taking that same level of excellence and putting it down for yourself, or if you are in management for the company that you're working for. So this next segment is going to talk about that spirit that she definitely had, and how you can use it and apply it in whatever organization that you're in. You can stay ahead of the innovation curve if you just find something out there in the world and bring it back. I mean, it's amazing how many ideas, because we're a growing society. We need these things, and these problems aren't going away anytime soon. I mean, we have to work through them. So, which is all opportunity. That's what I'm saying. Not to be a negative, to take a negative spin. It's a positive spin. If there weren't these problems to fix, there would be no reward in fixing them.
Exactly, and we won't have young entrepreneurs like yourself who think outside of the box. You don't even think of a box.
No,
you operate without borders.
you
you operate without borders, and you come across ideas that you want to share, how you can improve yourself and the community, the impact that it brings, and to take something that's Bahamian bred and take it to the world. That's an amazing accomplishment. We've done really well in the international space in very many spheres. And now by encouraging people to actually develop goods and services that are of a proper quality or international standards and quality that can actually be sold to the world. I mean, the Dubai 2021, 2020 is a wash. So Dubai 2021, we would be able to showcase our products, our services, our talents to the world in 2021. And as a matter of fact, the SPDC is actively engaging clients right now to prepare for that. You have to understand quality standards. You have to understand how to package your products, properly so that they can be worthy of world class. Although it's coming from a small island state.
Well, I mean, small is good. Small is good. I think because we all have a unique selling proposition, which is
Of course we do.
there's only so many Bahamians. So if you get to say that this is made in the Bahamas, that immediately gets someone to take notice. So
Yes, and what's interesting to know, like, let me share this with you. Even with the tourism product, tourism being on the DL now, and everybody is, making a hullabaloo about, no tourists are coming here. Well, let's take the Bahamas to the world. Let's build a digital platform where we have entertainment, we showcase our products and services, we have, payment systems linked to our products and services where tourists can purchase our products or services from wherever they are. We could sell the experience. We could do so much, even especially in the creative industry, the arts. That is something that we can share with the world through the digital platform.
absolutely, I'm loving this conversation because it is it's a spirit that we're just trying to empower. Because by empowering that person's spirit, whatever their level is, and they'll find it through their own hard work or luck or whatever, through God's grace. But you have to empower that. Otherwise, frankly, there's a lot of ideas that have gone to the graveyard because they haven't been empowered, that could have really materially changed all of our lives.
Yes, and one quote that is from an anonymous source that I, started this semester off by telling my students, entrepreneurs do things for the first few years that a lot of people won't, so that they can spend the rest of their lives doing things that other people can't, because they would have built the businesses, they would have built the platforms, and they would have taken their time, talent, and treasure and put it into their business, along with being risk averse, having that mindset, having that passion, that drive, that ego to say, I can do it.
Yeah, it's and we have to stop being afraid of that, because every entrepreneur that makes it has to bring along many others that don't have that same mindset, that don't have that same drive, or you said ego, but some people say craziness to say that they can change the world. That idea that you have to, but for every think of like someone like Mark Zuckerberg, right? Mark Zuckerberg changes the world. He employs 60,000 people. So off of one idea, 60,000 families, which is, if we had one good idea, a couple of good ideas could really change this place and make this place so much nicer and healthier for all of us to live in.
And another thing that we need to focus on is we have an individualistic sense of self. Sometimes we need to look at how we can build collaborations, how we can collaborate in terms of business, because there's so much unity and strength in numbers. We can come together, we can form, partnerships, we can. You bring something to the table that I probably didn't have. You may have the capital, I may have the skill set, you could have the vision, we can outsource some things, but we find that a lot of times we could do so much if we would only join our efforts or try to collaborate.
Yes.
But that also has to take a bit of legalese, because of course we need to get the legal, jargon straight, so that we know what everybody is entitled to, so that there are no issues, and we need to have accountability.
So for this last segment, I would like to talk about growing up in the household with a woman that I looked up to and admired. and was such a titan of industry. I remember being able to see her working in action. I remember being able to sit and ask questions about how things operate in the business, and to be able to get that firsthand experience, to be able to get an insight into the way that these companies run is something that is not very common. And so what I have to say to people at home is that it's very important. Business is experienced. There's no person that is good in business that has done it themselves. They lean on the stories of the men and women that came before them. And so and oftentimes these experiences are hard learned lessons. So I say all this to say that business is a process, and in order for us to make a jump in the new economy, we have to understand that it is a process and help to foster that environment for that process to bloom. That means that if you are in business yourself, or if you have family members that are in business, it's important that you don't discourage them, and it's also important that they be surrounded by other business people that have gone before them and experienced more than them. And it's also important that the communication is there. Business is a very, very difficult thing. We are, frankly, this modern form of business is a 500-year-old process. Arguably, you could say that it started with double entry accounting with the Venetians, but everything that has been learned since then is what a modern business person has. And so it's very important that you have a understanding that it is a process and to nurture that process. And so I would like to say, for all of the people who are watching this at home, it is a process. All you can do is learn. All you can do is have a hunger for learning more, and use that to become better business people. See you next time.
But here's my message. To whom much is given, much is required. You have been blessed, invested in by this great faculty. You won't ever receive the kind of knowledge that you've received during your time here. But I wish that you would couple that knowledge with something else. Wisdom. Wisdom from a mother. Wisdom from a father, a grandmother, a grandfather, an uncle, an aunt, a friend, a favorite professor. Wisdom from somewhere. That combination will keep you centered regardless of the turbulence of the sea. And I want to tell you, I know what it takes to get where you are, and I need you to listen to me very carefully. I have 4 degrees. My brother is a judge. We're not the smartest ones in our family. It's a 3rd grade dropout daddy. A 3rd grade dropout daddy who was quoting Michelangelo when he was a cook at Cal Maritime, saying to us, boys, I won't have a problem if you aim high and miss, but I'm gonna have a real issue if you aim low and hit. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better. Better isn't good enough if it can be best. Let me close. Wisdom will come to you in the unlikeliest of sources, a lot of times through failure. When you hit rock bottom, remember this. While you're struggling, rock bottom can also be a great foundation on which to build.
At Arawak X, we understand that for businesses to grow, they need capital to hire staff, buy equipment, and fuel innovative ideas. We support this process by using technology, years of business acumen, and a world-class team to get business the investment they need to get to the next level. If you are a business owner and need between $100,000 and $3 million, contact us today. We will schedule a meeting over the phone or video chat. Get on the path to your dreams. Arawak X. Dream bigger.